I'm Realtor Deb Tomorrow, and this is At Home in Bloomington, brought to you by Karen Russell, Ruoff Home Mortgage. We profile the people, places, and resources that make Bloomington, Bloomington, and help you live your best life. At Home in Bloomington. Hello, and welcome to At Home in Bloomington. I'm your host, Deb Tomorrow, joined by the lovely Miss Karen Russell. Are you looking at my notes to try and see who our guest is?
No, I'm not. I cannot even see. I know we're sitting right next to each other. I cannot see without my glasses.
Okay.
I have no idea
Stay
what that
on
is.
that side of the mic. So, as usual, we have a lovely guest in front of us, and Karen doesn't know who this young man is or what he does.
No, but he has a great personality.
He is very charming. So this is going to be a good show because we're recording this in, I always have to look at a computer because I have no idea when it is, but we're recording this in March of 2019, which is the height of the real estate selling season. Mm-hmm. And I'm a bit frazzled. I think I've had appointments with 20 different clients over the past 3 days or something crazy like that. And so, I wasn't quite as prepared for this show as I like to be. Mm-hmm. And Rachel was like, oh, our guest is a talker, you'll be fine. And I was like, oh, thank goodness. So there we go. Hopefully that's true.
Oh, it's very true.
Okay, good. All right, so Karen, I've decided for introduction, I'm going to bring back my favorite, which is our version of the password game. Do you remember Password? Did you watch Password? Was that with Bert Convy?
Yeah. So,
Loved Bert Convy. Died in early death, much like our beloved Luke Perry. But anyways. Okay, so we're going to play Password again.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you a word.
Yes.
And then this is a good one. You might get this one.
I hope so.
Okay, for 10 points. Mm-hmm. Who is our guest? Your clue is, the password is crows.
Oh my gosh, no.
I'm the guest and I have no idea.
Yeah.
She'll explain that one. All right, for 7 points, the password is dogs.
No.
Oh, I get it now. That's fun.
Okay, who is our guest? For 5 points, the password is, I cheated on this one, it's actually 3 words, not a park.
I'm clueless. Okay. I know his name's Curtis with a K.
Okay. For 3 points, who is our guest? The password is and Homes. And Homes.
Hobson Homes? What? No, is that what you're talking about? Sorry. Talking to Rachel, who's off the air. But
right, she's giving you hints.
Hobson.
For 2 points, the password is hops.
So this has to do with Switchyard?
Oh, thank God we're finally there.
Well, first of all, you said crows, by the way.
Crows.
And I wanted to say counting crows was the first thought in my head.
Okay,
and that was...
Well, why did I say crows?
Because I parked on 8th Street, and my car was destroyed. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh.
We are cursing on this show.
Yeah.
Sorry, parents.
But yeah, so crows. Okay.
Crows. So crows. So be careful where you park when you go to Switchyard Brewing Company.
That's correct.
For 1 point, your clue is Jake's.
You're welcome because I gave
I know, she did. She texted.
I said don't park on 8th.
Right.
Because you'll have a lot
So we were at Switchyard just last week doing a Hobson Homes event. I don't know if you knew that or not. And it was wonderful. And we had a blast. We had people just come in and it was a Q&A about buying homes and everybody got around a beer and it was a really nice event. So we are welcoming one of the owners of Switchyard Brewing Company, which is Curtis Cummings. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Are you afraid yet?
That was really fun.
Okay. Yeah.
You were confusing me from the first one.
Did you know for 1 point, your password was Jake's?
I would have known Jake's.
Right.
You would have said,
that's why
take
it was
yourself back to 1988. Because that's what it was back in 88.
So many iterations, right? Jake's, Access Mars,
right.
Time Out.
Right.
The Walnut Street Tap was there for a blink of an eye.
Walnut Street Tap.
Uh-huh.
Used to be a Dodge dealership in the 70s. And then in the 30s and 40s and 50s, it was an International Harvester dealership.
Tractors.
Yes.
There you go.
Awesome. So now it is the home of Switchyard Brewing Company. So you're located on South Walnut Street between 8th and 9th.
Walnut Street.
North Walnut.
North Walnut Street between 8th and 9th.
Awesome.
And we completely demolished the interior of that building and gave it new life.
It's amazing. The pictures on your website of the renovation, it took me, by surprise because it was really extensive.
Yeah.
And
very extensive.
And so how long did it take you to do that renovation?
Basically 9 months of demolition.
Okay.
Me, my wife, and her 6 brothers her father. We all got in there, and I learned to drive a skid steer via YouTube, and we just went nuts inside there and tore everything out.
Wow.
We literally just left the ceiling, the walls, the floor. Man, they should have made like a TV episode about us or something.
Right, I would say
like flip this business.
Right, and your wife and six brothers. It sounds like, and her six brothers sounds like an HGTV episode.
I know
for sure.
Yeah, and we just tore everything out of that building and gave it everything's brand new from a new. It never had a sprinkler system before, so we put a sprinkler system in. Yeah, right. And we put in a grease interceptor and a solids interceptor and the brewery and all brand new LED lighting and the floors and bathrooms, and everything's brand new.
So let's back up and talk about how Switchyard Brewing came into being, because it did not start 9 months ago. You opened in November.
We opened on Memorial Day last year, so we're coming upon our 1 year anniversary.
Okay, so it did not start 9 months before Memorial Day. So take us back a little bit and share a little bit of history.
Let's go back in time. 2012, 2013, I get my first homebrew kit, and we start brewing, on the stovetop, like many other home brewers get their role. And at that time, I was working as a firefighter medic for a fire department up in Indianapolis. And then just on my days off, just started falling in love with home brewing and met my business partner, Jeff. We both worked on the ambulance service here in Bloomington. And on our days off work, we would go into my garage. We upgraded into the garage at that point in time.
Or got kicked out of the house.
Or got kicked out of the house.
Because I've had beer brewed in my house before. Sticky floors.
Exactly, yeah. So my wife and I purchased our first home up on Bethel Lane, and we started, brewing in the garage. She jokes that 3 years, she wasn't able to park in the garage at all because we literally converted it into a brewery. But you can't legally sell that beer. You have to just give it away to friends and family for taste and evaluation purposes. So that's what we did. And we started getting really good positive feedback about some of the beers that we were producing. And Jeff and I sat down one day at a bar and we said, can we make this into an actual business? So we wrote down 8 guiding principles that would kind of guide our vision and guide like our decision making in the business. And from that point forward, it was just full steam ahead, no pun intended, to open a brewery in Bloomington. And it took 7 years to actually make happen. 7 years.
What perseverance.
Right.
Why didn't you give up?
I almost did a few times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think any entrepreneur, I've always had that kind of entrepreneurial spirit. I love telling the story that was when I was in 3rd grade. I used to, on the playground, we used to go out and pick up little pebbles and rocks. And I would take those rocks home. Like, all the kids were like, what is weird Curtis doing? Picking up rocks in the playground. I would take the rocks home, put them in my little rock tumbler my dad got me for Christmas, and I'd polish them all up. I'd take them back to school the next day and sell them for like $1 a piece.
Sweet.
Parent-teacher conference came around.
Yeah.
And the teachers are like, hey, Mrs. Cummings, we really need Curtis to stop swindling other students. I literally had a wad of cash under my pillow at home. So they shut me down.
Yeah.
And so I started selling pre-sharpened pencils instead.
Oh my gosh.
But I've always had this like entrepreneurial drive. And I think any entrepreneur, they have that just like inherent ability to just persistence against all odds. That was actually a saying that was on our fire trucks back home in Muncie, where I'm originally from. It was persistence against all odds. And if you just, people don't realize how close they were to succeeding when they give up. Right. And 3 weeks before we signed the lease at 419 North Walnut, I actually was applying for jobs down in Nashville, Tennessee. I was applying for jobs at a brewery called, several breweries down there, but one in particular I really wanted to work at, Jackalope Brewing Company. I said, hey, it's a great brewery. It's a 100% woman-owned business. They have great guiding principles, great values, and it really meshed with my culture and what I wanted to create at Switchyard. I sent her a few pages of our business plan, and I said, hey, I'm legit. I'm just not some guy that's looking to get involved in the brewery. I'm passionate about this. I want to get involved in the industry. I don't care what you have me do. Wash kegs, do front of house management, clean the floors every night. I don't care. I just want into the industry. I've been trying to start my own brewery. Been trying for 7 years. It's not happening. She sent me an email back about 6 hours later, and all it said was, Curtis, I would love to hire you, but you need to open your own fucking brewery. And then 3 weeks later, I signed the lease.
Wow.
So, I don't know, to answer your question, but I think every entrepreneur has that inherent ability of just the grind and just having that vision and having that dream and doing whatever they can to succeed and make that dream happen.
Right. And just when you do get knocked down, because you're going to get knocked down, you
You're
get
going
back up.
Yeah, and there were so many times where Jeff and I would be like, man, we're taking one step forward and two steps back.
Yeah.
And to be incredibly transparent. I mean, it's not like we were two public servants, right? We're both two guys working on an ambulance.
Right.
Our net worth total was less than $150,000.
Right.
And, I mean, Jeff rents, I just bought my own house. Like, we had, no true startup capital. We did a Kickstarter to try to, basically it was a big marketing campaign. Mm-hmm. It was to get the really momentum started, get people, making Switchyard Brewing Company kind of a household name around Bloomington, to get it in the back of their minds. One location on South Roger Street we tried going to, dropped out,
signs,
right?
Yeah.
It just fizzled out, didn't happen. And then we started looking at other locations. We announced that we were going to move into the Elm Heights Blooming Foods over in the Elm Heights neighborhood. Yep. Love that neighborhood. They were really supportive of us and what we were trying to do. We had a lot of neighborhood community meetings to discuss what our plans were and what our values were. And then that building sold. We had a letter of intent written and the building sold that same week. So we lost out on that location. And again, convincing banks, pitching to banks. We had 4 banks turn us down.
Oh, wow.
And you go through and it's just that grind, just being turned down and turned down. And what I'm getting at is there's no rich uncle of Switchyard. Right. Like, we're not inherently wealthy.
Right.
It's 2 guys that literally had a dream.
Right.
And I think it's a really important thing to know. And for people who are listening, if you have an idea, if you have a dream, if you want a business you want to start, you don't it's a misconception you have to be wealthy to start a business.
Right.
It's not at all true.
Yeah. And definitely in Bloomington. And that's one of the things I've loved about Bloomington. One of the reasons I want to do this show is because I want to give back in some small way to the entrepreneurs and in the community that was welcoming to me when I came down to become kind of an entrepreneur myself, that said, sure, you're not from here, that's okay, and really helped me grow my business. So that's one of the reasons why we try to do this show, is to kind of help give exposure to all those people out there working so hard.
Bloomington and South Central Indiana have a lot of resources for young entrepreneurs, right? Mm-hmm. And, whether that be the Ivy Tech Center for Entrepreneurship and all the resources that they have, or resources at IU, or resources through the mayor's office, and, things coming out of City Hall.
Right.
Of course, then you have the Dimension Mill and, the incubator, and just having that community and the networking ability. There's a lot of great networking groups here in Bloomington, and just having those resources, I think, are inherently very important to getting a startup off the ground.
Yeah, for sure. So let's take a step in a different direction and talk about Switchyard and what it is. So in case there's anybody out there who's never heard of Switchyard Brewing Company, or anybody who hasn't been in it, because I think there could be some misconceptions of what it is.
And it surprises me that we've almost been open. So our 1-year anniversary will be Memorial Day this year. And it's amazing to think. So my daughter, she was born on November 3rd, so she essentially is almost as old as the brewery. And so to see her on my Facebook timeline, there was a photo that popped up, and it was a photo of Cora, and I was holding her in what looked to be a war zone in the middle of a demolished building. Right. And to think that was a year ago is amazing. Right. And so Switchyard Brewing Company, we one of the crazy misconceptions I hear from people is they're like, oh, well, you have to be 21 or over to go there. And that's not at all true. We actually are incredibly family friendly. We do a lot of family programming. One of the more fun events that we do is the last Sunday of every month. It's called Parents and Pints, where, parents like me and my wife, we can take our 1-year-old to the brewery. We convert our brew house boardroom into a really fun, safe environment for kids, where you put outlet covers in all the outlets.
Nice.
There's foam mats down on the floor, there's coloring, there's tunnels, there's building blocks, there's toys, and you can just let the kids run amok inside of the boardroom while all the parents are out in the tap room watching and obviously supervising. But you can come and have adult conversations, which is amazing. You don't have to listen to Baby Shark on repeat. So the fact that we're all ages is a common misconception. And then we also open at 8 a.m. every day, except for Sunday. We're open 10 to 10. And we open at 8 a.m. because we also operate as a co-working space. So people come in, I just left the brewery. It's right around 3:30 in the afternoon. All day today, there's been people with their laptops. There's been meetings. There was a board of directors meeting that was happening in the boardroom this afternoon. But people connect to our gigabit Wi-Fi. You can get bottomless hopscotch coffee. It's our own blend called the Kickstart Blend, and it's only $4. And it's neat because what we see is a lot of our demographic are grad students, they're professional students, they come in for group projects, and a lot of times they come in the morning and do the grind all day, and then they end up coming in later that night.
Back, right? And I know one of the things I had noticed when we were there on a Monday evening. So granted, it's a Monday evening, but I mean, it was not college students per se. I mean, there were some college students, but I mean, it was definitely from all walks. And so I want to make sure that people know, I mean, this is not, Kilroy's.
It's definitely not a college bar. No, and actually, all of our staff are trained to not call it a bar at all. When you call something a bar, it immediately has a negative connotation, I think. We are a brewery, right? We're a tap room. Another misconception is, Switchyard doesn't have a kitchen. And it's true, we do not have a kitchen because we are a dog-friendly tap room. You can bring your dog into the tap room any day, anytime. We've never had an issue. Right? I mean, we've been open for 9 months, not a single issue. I feel like the people that bring their dogs out in public, they know in that sense, they're responsible dog owners.
I wouldn't bring my dogs out
and
there.
They get it. And some dogs just aren't conducive to it, so you're a responsible dog owner, right? Like I have 3 dogs, and two of them they can't come to the brewery just because they're they don't do well. Like they do well at the dog park. Right. They do well at the doghouse over on the west side of town, right, when they go to daycare, but they don't do well with like in a enclosed space with other dogs.
Right. That is a little echoey when the dog barks.
Yeah, but this concept of a dog-friendly brewery isn't really new, right? I mean, this thing happens all the time out in the West Coast and in Colorado and Oregon. It's something new to Bloomington for sure. Yeah. But we have food trucks outside almost every day of the week. Yeah. So you can come in and, you can bring in your own food. If people have special events, they can cater their own food. Or you can grab food from our food trucks.
One of the things that I have to mention before we go to break is that if you do special events and cater in your own food, you do request that everything be compostable.
We do, yeah.
Can I say that
we just ask that the caterers use compostable materials to help with our mission and vision towards our sustainability efforts.
We had Green Camino on one of our first shows way back last fall. So that's why I wanted to bring that up because it kind of ties all that together. So.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'm hoping that maybe we can talk a little bit about this sort of craft brewing movement because I think some people feel like it's new and exploding, but I also think it's probably more of a renaissance. And it's kind of the hot, cool thing. So we'll talk about that, and you can educate us a little bit.
Sounds good.
Stick around. You're at home in Bloomington.
Hi, this is Karen Rastel with Ruoff Home Mortgage. Did you know one of the most underutilized loan programs is a Veterans Administration loan? Whether you're active duty or retired, you may be eligible for a VA loan with no mortgage insurance and no down payment. It's an honor to assist veterans who have served our country. To see if you qualify for this incredible option, contact me today at 812-606-7653. Ruoff Home Mortgage is an Indiana corporation licensed by the Indiana Department of Financial Institutions. This is not an offer for extension of credit or a commitment to lend. All loans must satisfy company underwriting guidelines, equal housing lender, NMLS number 141868.
This is your Real Estate Realist. Practical advice on buying and selling real estate based on my experience closing over 800 home sales. Road rage. Ever experienced it? Probably. But what about real estate road rage? Well, it's a thing. When we are talking your home, we're talking your basic need for shelter, so emotions can run high. Small things can feel huge, and real estate road rage can rear its ugly head. Here are some practices that can help avoid real estate road rage. Number 1, keep your contracts clear. From the offer to the inspection response, be extremely clear on what you want and need, exactly how you want something fixed, what you need to be included. Be specific. It decreases the chances that you'll be unpleasantly surprised in the end. Number 2, fully understand your contractual obligations. Understand when you can and can't back out of the contract, what you need to have done and by what date. Ask questions if you are not clear. Like most contracts, ignorance is not an excuse. Number 3, don't procrastinate. Move with a sense of urgency. When a lender or realtor says it's time to do a task in the home buying process, make it a priority. Waiting until the last minute to do repairs, get financing, submit loan documentation, talk to an insurance agent, get movers lined up, it's all a surefire way to induce real estate road rage on both sides of the transaction. And number 4, trust the people that you hired to help you. If you don't trust them, don't use them. You've assembled a team to help and guide you. Trust their advice. They really do have your back. For more information on avoiding real estate road rage, check out my Real Real Estate Today podcast, episode 7. You can find it on YouTube, iTunes, and my website, www.athomeinbloomington.com.
My name is Joe Reinhardt, and Deb Tomorrow is my realtor. Deb helped us to sell a property that we had previously listed for which we were unable to even generate an offer. Deb's responsiveness, professionalism, and her aggressive marketing strategy led to multiple full-price offers for our listing. And that's why I think Deb should be your realtor too. And now, back to the show.
Hey, welcome back to At Home in Bloomington. I'm Realtor Deb Tomorrow, and we are here with Curtis Cummings from Switchyard Brewery and my lovely co-host, Miss Karen Rastel. Before we get back to Curtis and learning all the cool stuff going on at Switchyard Brewing, I want to do our Facebook follow segment, which is, now this is funny, so we mentioned in the first segment that a week or so ago, we did a Hops and Homes event at Switchyard Brewing. I was in the middle of talking about something, home inspections or I don't know what, and I looked up and I got completely distracted because I was like, I know that person, like over on the other side, right? Yeah, I turned to you and kind of be like, what? And so it was Erica Brown from the Monroe County Public Library, who was a guest on episode 20 along with her coworker, Matt Neer. And they were doing an event at Switchyard Brewing Company the same time we were. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So I wanted to, just bring them out again and tell you to follow Monroe County Public Library on Facebook because it's amazing the stuff that they offer that doesn't have anything to do with books necessarily, but does have to do with just broadening your horizons. I think what was going on at Switchyard, they were doing a Books on Tap. So they have a book club and you can have beer, but they do a lot of, I think they maybe do some podcrafting at Switchyard too. I'm not sure where they do that, but they've got some other events too. So anyways, follow them. If you're not taking advantage of what they have going on, you are missing out on my favorite phrase, the deal of the century, because it's all free. Okay, so we were served some lovely
this is
beverages.
Maybe I can get this on the mic. Hold
there
on
you
a
go.
second. Yeah, there it is.
Awesome.
Okay.
So thank you for bringing samples. And
You got it.
I have to. I
like
mentioned
bringing
this
beer to the party.
that in episode, I don't know if it was 2 or 3 that we did with Hopscotch Coffee. I went on a big long, I digress about how I'm a super taster. And so bitter things are extra bitter to me. And I'm like, I'm not really a beer drinker, but I'd like to try. And so whatever you gave me to try, I am now a beer drinker.
Right.
Done. I'm going to say it loud and proud. So what was it?
That's our Orange Blossom Blonde, which we actually released it was about 21 days ago, and we've already sold out. It's one of the fastest moving beers that we've brewed now. And
don't stop brewing it.
No, we're not.
Do you do limited runs where we fall in love with
this is actually
then...
kind of our model is we're trying to figure out what our flagship beers are, right? What are those staple beers we're always going to have? Blackberry Wheat is one of those beers. I brought that as well, and Blackberry Wheat is one that's a seasonal, right?
Okay.
Like Blackberry Wheat just tastes kind of funny in October, November, December. It's not really the right season for it. Orange Blossom Blonde, however, we brew that using orange blossom honey that we get from Hunter's Honey Farm in Martinsville. Okay. And that is going to be a year-round beer. Okay. Yeah, this is kind of graduated to year-round status. Yeah. We brew things initially. We don't really do pilot batches. I mean, we have a 15-barrel brew house. It's a fairly large brew house. We brew 465 gallons at a time.
And that's in the back of your building.
That's in the back.
So you can see it. Can you tour it?
You can, yeah. We do tours on the weekends. Okay. We purposely wanted, as far as the aesthetics of the tap room and the tasting room, the minute you walk in, and this was hard finding a commercial building in Bloomington that could support this. Yeah. We needed high ceilings, big square footage, and from the minute you walk into the tasting room, you need to be able to see stainless steel. That was one of our prerequisites. Right. So we, when we brew, we just brew 15 barrels at a time right off the bat, and then if something takes off, then it kind of we look at graduating it into a flagship status. Okay.
So someone like me who walks into Switchyard and says, "I don't drink beer."
Yeah.
Just give me a Diet Coke or something. Yeah, So how can you help me, or how can you open my eyes or open my horizons?
Right, so we don't have a 3-way license. So we only have a 2-way license, which allows us to sell our beer and wine. We also have hard cider and gluten-free beers for those that are gluten intolerant. And all of our staff go through a full 5 days of what we call beer camp. So before they're brought on, and we hire like in classes, their hiring class goes through together to kind of create camaraderie and to create this culture that we're fostering at Switchyard. They go through a 5-day beer camp, and it's 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, straight through, kind of intensive. We teach them everything there is to know about beer, how to taste beer. And then when a guest comes into the tap room, and we send them through like kind of like a guided tasting. So if someone comes up to the bar and says, hey, like, I don't really like IPAs, but I'm not really sure what my beer style is, any staff member at Switchyard is able to say, hey, like,
yeah, that was
cool.
me a couple of weeks ago, because I was like, I mean, I typically drink wine, but I thought, no, I'm
at a brewery.
Yeah, I'm going to try a beer, and the girl bartending was like perfect, and she was just like, well, what do you like? And was just kind of talking me through different things, and I'm just that like more simple-minded beer person, which is nothing really dark. Like it to not be, as people say, hoppy. Like I just want it to taste good. And so she gave me a sample of this one, and it's been my favorite. It's my go-to one now. All 2 times I've been there. All 2 times I've been
Well, we're
there.
going to have to go there more often.
And all 6 beers.
Can you buy these elsewhere? Are you selling anywhere else?
Yes. So we started wholesale distribution late last year, and we are now expanding our wholesale distribution footprint into the Indianapolis market coming in April. We have 150 new tap handles coming in because we're already out. We currently are on tap around 25 different places around Bloomington. So you can go to your favorite, you can go to Mother Bears, you can go to Trojan Horse, go to Buffalo's, support local, and you support local. That's an amazing thing about this town, right? Is you're keeping your money here locally in Bloomington. When you go to Mother Bears and you're having a pizza, you look at the beer menu, don't necessarily overlook, Bloomington Brewing Company and Upland and Function and the Tap and us. Because it really does benefit local independent craft beer.
So you mentioned, to stay local, and that benefits local. So that plays a little bit into your sustainability model.
It does,
So talk to me about that.
So we believe... our mission statement at Switchyard is that we believe that business can and should be a catalyst for positive change within their community. It's kind of our mantra that we live by. Not necessarily our vision, but it's something that we hold near to our heart, and we think about it in every decision that we make. So our sustainability model is a 3-way sustainability model. Everyone knows what environmental sustainability is, right? It's recycling, it's composting, it's reducing your carbon footprint, reducing your water consumption, reducing your waste, like your water discharge, and we work very closely with the City of Bloomington Utilities to ensure that we're doing that. The second part is being economically sustainable, and that type of sustainability involves, for us, it's spending our money locally as much as possible. So anytime we need a hardware need, we go to Kleindorfer's, right?
Because they have it in their back pocket.
They literally do.
If you've never been into Kleindorfer's, you just take that spring that you need, and you just show it to them, and the guy pulls it out of his back pocket, I swear to you.
What I absolutely love about local hardware stores like that is that the minute that you walk in, someone walks to you and says, hey, can I help you find something? Right? And whereas you may be able to drive further to the west side to Lowe's or Menards, and there's nothing wrong with big box, but you may take a while to find it, you may find it cheaper, but my time is worth a lot of money.
Sure.
And if I can support the local guy and get in and out, it's well worth it.
Right.
So spending our money locally whereas possible. All of our teas come from Cup and Kettle. Our coffee blend is blended by Hopscotch. We support the local food truck community. So anytime we can, and even our brew house, we could have saved 20% by buying the brew house and all of the fermenters from China. Easily. But we chose not to because it just didn't go with those guiding principles that I talked about at the beginning of the show. We chose to purchase our brew house from a manufacturer that's in Detroit. So we're keeping our money in the Midwest and we're supporting jobs in the Detroit area.
And that's an interesting thought, just to kind of, I guess, think about it out loud, is that, I think we've seen in the past sometimes where there's one big entity in town and everybody else is depressed and not working, and all those other businesses are closing down, and that's not healthy for anyone. It's not healthy for the town.
That's where economic sustainability really comes into play. It makes us a community partner, right? It allows us to be a catalyst for positive change in the community. That third part of sustainability is community sustainability, and what that involves with is, for our 32 coworkers that I am blessed to be able to work with, we're providing them a livable wage, right? We are giving them a great work-life balance. All of our full-time paid staff that are on salary get what's called unlimited vacation. So they literally can take time off whenever they want, as long as they give proper notice and that their work is covered by another person within the entity. Our part-time staff, we're 75% part-time staff, and all of our part-time staff have what's called VPTO. So for every 2 hours of community volunteering that they do, they get 1 hour of paid time off. So these things that we do are just the 3 ways that help support our overall culture at Switchyard.
Which kind of, I guess, that plays into your guiding principles as well.
It does, yeah. So some of the guiding principles, great beer, great service, a fun place to work. We want to make a safe place to work that kind of goes into the same one. Being an active part of our community. Those are just a few of the guiding principles.
So let's talk a little bit about the things that you are involved in with the community. I know that you do, there's so many events that go on, and you really want to be a center for events. So doing things like My Hops and Homes or things with the library where you've got we had kind of an open space, but there were couches and it was kind of cool. And then you've got private space in your boardroom that people can reserve or use for at no cost during the week, during hours. And then, so there's always stuff going on with the community in there, but you have more programs than even just that.
We do. So we support kind of our philanthropic efforts besides offering discounted event rental spaces to nonprofit organizations. We have our Positive Pints, which happens on the first Sunday of every month. And from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m., we partner with a local nonprofit. They bring in representatives from their nonprofit, set up a booth, walk around to tables, basically do advocacy, talk to people about their nonprofit. What do they do? Why are they unique? How are they supporting our community? And then for every pint sold between 2 and 5, we donate $1 to that nonprofit. So, we've had the Monroe County Humane Association in, we've had Life Designs in, we've had the Bloomington Community Orchard was just in this past Sunday. And then we have our Wood and Nickel program. And for every time someone purchases a flight of beer, and for the listeners, a flight of beer is where you get 5 different 5-ounce pours of our beers. You choose what you'd like to taste. Whenever you purchase a flight for $12, you get a wood and nickel that comes with the flight. And you choose as a customer whether or not you want to take that wood and nickel and donate it to our monthly nonprofit, which right now is the Boys and Girls Club, or you can take that wood and nickel and take $1 off any of our merchandise. So, like, if you really want a Switchyard hat or a T-shirt, it's a good way of saving a little bit of money.
Sure, cool. What about, let's talk, tell me about this Run Club, because I'm like, ooh, running and drinking, that sounds interesting.
So Run Club's kind of part of our that community part of sustainability, right? Like, we installed an AED inside of our tap room, something that kind of comes from Jeff and I both working as medics. To have more community accessible AEDs is really important to help victims of sudden cardiac arrest. But our Run Club meets every single Monday at 6 p.m., regardless of the weather. I will put an asterisk next to that says unless it's lightning. But cold, rain, sleet, these guys are very hardcore, and they get out there. And just a great group of people. We partnered with the Bloomington Area Runners Association, and they come out and they sign in, and for every run, we give you a point. So we don't have a loyalty program necessarily at Switchyard. We have a mug club. But this Run Club is neat because we're encouraging you to come out. You can run or walk. It's family-oriented. You can run or walk a 1.5, a 3, or a 5-mile course with a group of really great people. And then afterwards, you stick around for a beer and hang out and have a good conversation. Awesome. So we give each person a point for every run that they do. And then once you reach 25, 50, 75, 100 runs, we give rewards. Nice. So it encourages you to live a active, healthy lifestyle and drink some beer.
I know some really dedicated runners that it just takes my breath away thinking that they are doing that all the time, and I'm sure that they go and do this on Mondays.
I could see our friend Crystal doing that.
Yeah, for sure. I think I could see Crystal doing that as well.
It really is a great organization. It's I've actually had people reach out to us on Facebook that say, "Hey, I'm brand new to town. I used to run at X city that I'm from. Can you tell me more about your run club? And one person in particular messaged me after they ran. They're like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. Thank you for helping me feel welcome to Bloomington. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, and that's I think one of the big things we're trying to do here is introduce, if people are new, helping them find their community, wherever that may be and however they define that.
Absolutely.
And so we think this is great. So let's talk right before, we've just got a couple minutes left, but I want to talk about craft beer, because I read something yesterday where there used to be, like, I don't remember the numbers and I couldn't find it again this morning, but it was kind of this swell of, well, craft beer used to be the thing. I mean, everything was on a local level.
Yes.
And then it became all these huge breweries. I have a hard time saying that word. And it's not because I drink too much. And now it's sort of gone back down to the local level.
Yeah, so, I think the world within itself kind of, we're seeing this like ultra local model really start to pop up more and more, right? We want to support local, we want to support, and Bloomington's really great about that. Craft beer prior to Prohibition, there were so many breweries prior to Prohibition, and each neighborhood had like their neighborhood brewery, their neighborhood pub. And it was truly a community spot. It was a spot where all ages could come in, and it was like a community center.
Yeah.
Right? It was where people would come and gather to do things. It's kind of our model, right? It kind of sounds familiar, right?
Right.
And then Prohibition hit, and it killed almost every single brewery in the entire nation. Just in 2017 did we finally, as a nation, get to the point where we matched the same number of breweries that we had prior to Prohibition.
Wow.
That was 2017.
Right.
Right, that's only 2 years ago.
Right.
And so now we're still seeing more and more breweries to open and grow. But we are seeing, that's why the Brewers Association, you'll see it on our crowler here that I brought, this independent label here. And it says, certified independent by the Brewers Association. And we are an independent brewery, which means that we are not owned by a large conglomerate. And really, listeners should look out for this. It looks like an upside down bottle of beer. And it says independent in white lettering down the middle of the bottle. And when you see that, you can know, and you're rest assured that that brewery that you're buying your beer from is not owned by, the big guys.
Right.
Right. It's not a giant conglomerate, because that's what's happening. A lot of the big guys now, because they're feeling the pressure of craft beer, they're purchasing smaller breweries to kind of take that craft market share.
Right.
And so, you're seeing like Goose Island recently did that, and Wicked Weed, and some other breweries that, they've recently been acquired by InBev or Miller Coors. And, it's a free market, and, whatever the business decides their exit strategy is, that's what they want to do.
Right.
For us, we always want to be local, and we always, want Switchyard to be a Bloomington brand, and, we really don't have any intention of growing outside of that.
Awesome. Well, I want to encourage everyone, tell us again your hours, because they're crazy long.
They are crazy. We literally have people that'll reach out to us and say, wait a minute, Google says you are open at 8 a.m. Is that right? Yes, that is correct.
You sell beer at 8 a.m.?
We do. We can legally sell beer in Indiana at 7 a.m. So a lot of night shifters actually come and hang out at the tap room at 8 a.m. They stop at Taco Bell and grab breakfast. And then so we're open Monday through Saturday, 8 a.m. until either 11 p.m. or midnight, depending upon how the night's going.
Okay.
And then Sunday, we're open from 10 to 10.
So come after church.
Yeah, absolutely.
And check out all the events on your website.
There's so many.
There's
the website's
calendar.
The best way. Go to the event calendar.
Yeah, there's an event calendar there. It tells you everything that's going on and how to get involved. And just check it out. Bring your dogs. Check out the Wi-Fi and do some work and have some meetings. And, let's see if we can make it the latest and greatest community center.
And can you tell us what that website is?
Yeah, our website's switchyardbrewing.com. SWITCHYARD.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks
welcome.
for the treats. I think you're the first person who's brought us booze, so you will live in our
Maybe
hearts
I started
forever.
a trend.
I don't know. We can hope. Yeah. All right, and we will be back with another episode. You're at home in Bloomington. Got a show idea? I'd love to hear it. And be sure to contact me for all your real estate needs and questions, too. You can email me at deb@realrealestatetoday.com and follow me on Facebook at Deb Tomorrow Realtor. To contact Karen Rastel for all your mortgage needs, call 812-606-7653 or log on to ruoff.com and go to the Bloomington Center. Thanks to all the Bloomington people who make production of At Home in Bloomington possible. Special thanks to superstar producer Rachel Gregorio,
digital guru Cynthia Hogan at Monster Digital Marketing for website design and hosting, and video genius Wes Lasher in the production house for engineering the show.